Good evening. It is the 24th of June. I'm going to do something a little different today. Normally, I string together the clips and stills that I took during the day. I'm going to try to recount today because it was sort of so remarkable in one particular way. Yes, I saw, lovely flowers and chipmunks and trees and critters, and there have been at least 4 or 5 waves of thunderstorms that have gone past me, at least 2 of which have been since I set up my tent, and I think I'm like right in the middle between 2 waves right now. I can tell there's one from the rumbling that's still coming in from the west, so I'll try to get this done here before that one hits too. But here's what was so sort of remarkable. I decided to try to do what's called a boomerang, go in and resupply from town, but not stay in there, just get back out on the trail. So I hiked for a couple hours this morning, got to the trailhead at Spring Creek Pass, and there was a couple there. And the woman had a pack on. She was getting ready to go. I started chatting with him 5 or 10 minutes, and turns out she's doing the southern section of the Colorado Trail. So we talked about the conditions and things like that. So then I got to my ask, and I should say, I need to digress here. Lake City's reputation among Continental Divide Trail through hikers is that it is the hardest hitch on the entire CDT. So I wasn't going to let this opportunity to yogi escape, and so I asked, hey, could I get a ride down into Lake City, of the husband who was not going on the hike. He said, sure, I'll bring you down to Lake City, and his name is Gary, and the wife said, well, I thought you were going fishing the other direction. He said, that's okay. I'll bring him down into Lake City. So he brought me all the way down, 15, 20 miles, windy mountain roads. He's from this part of Colorado. I learned a lot about ranching and farming in this part of Colorado from him. Had a great conversation. He said, where do you want me to drop you off in town? Because it's kind of strung out. And I knew I had to resupply, and at the far northern end is where the grocery store was. So I had him drop me off right there. And he was very gracious. Wonderful, going completely out of his way because he was going to go fishing the opposite way from the pass. So I resupplied. Then I heard from Just Jim, who had spent the night here or there in Lake City last night. And so he walked over to the grocery store. And pretty much just as he arrived, who should come up but the trail angels, Will and Bill and Laura with Granny in tow. The very same people who brought us in, just Jim and I, from Stony Pass into Silverton a few days ago. They're in a completely different town, and they drive up. Hey, how you doing? Where do you want to go? Well, at that point, we wanted to go eat lunch. So they drove us to the other end of town so we could go eat lunch there. And just after they dropped us off, they ran into cougar bait, and they now knew his trail name.
Okay, so that was the craziest thing. I had the same people who stopped me on the street in Silverton just pulled over and said, hey, cougar bait. I just dropped your friends off again and told me where to go over here. It's the very same people I saw in Silverton. That's
and they were the ones, they came into the grocery store when we were there, and they pile out, hey! With grandma now this time, that we had heard about before.
doesn't know my name, but I recognize the guy.
And they know your trail name
And
now.
they know my trail.
Yeah, the trail provides.
Absolutely.
Crazy, and they saw him before we saw him, and then Cougar Bait came up, and we all had a nice lunch. After that, they had to go resupply. We all brought our ice axes and microspikes to the post office. They were very helpful there. I should say Lake City has this reputation where there isn't as much there, but it's a really cute town. It may not be overrun with tourists like some of the other places are, but it's a really great spot. And so then I was all done. Cougar Bait and Just Jim are staying overnight there tonight. And so I got my gear together, stuck out my thumb. After about 5 minutes, this Toyota pulls over, and the woman gets out and says, are you going up to Silver Creek Pass? And I said, well, yes, I am. Yes, I am. She said, well, get in, put your pack in the back. There are 2 other hikers here that I have to pick up, who I said I would take up to the pass too. And she had 2 little girls, one in a car seat in the back of the vehicle. And I thought, well, how's this going to work? Okay, so we all pile in. My pack is in there. We drive up the road, see the 2 other hikers there. There's not enough room now. So the woman who owned the vehicle got in back, gave the keys to one of the other hikers, and gave him directions on how to get to her home. She was just picking up her girls from a day camp in town, and they live on the outskirts of town. So we drove to their house, dropped off the girls. She wasn't going up to the pass at all. And so, but she brought us up there, and at her home, she went in the house, got us all a beer to see us on our merry way, and dropped the 3 of us off. So when I think of Lake City, Colorado, I will think of the trail angels in Lake City and those who live there and who live around the area, who are just so accommodating and go, I mean, literally 15 to 20 miles out of their way, each way, just to bring a hiker up to the pass or down from the pass. That's what I will think of when I think of the 24th of June and when I think of Lake City, Colorado. The goodness and kindness of people.